Good afternoon, everyone. Hey guys, this is Bruce Marshall with Simpler Trading doing the nightly video update for Wednesday, July the 26th, and also for Fed Day. As you can see here, I've got the ES and the NQ and the RUT all up here, and it was a crazy, crazy day today. If you were not watching, we had Fed meeting where the Fed meeting was, I guess the announcement was right there, and then we had the conference call started, I guess right there. So Eastern time, it's 2 o'clock for the announcement. 25 basis point hike that was anticipated, and then the conference call, we went straight up and straight down and straight back up again and back down. Lots of movement, and it kind of ended up really in the same place. Let me show you what I mean here. This is where we closed today in the ES, and this was yesterday. So the ES was up a whopping 3 points. The SPX was up 0.71, so basically flat after all that movement. But all that was because of what the Fed said in the commentary. So this Fed meeting, we had a rate announcement, and then of course we had Fed commentary. And going into this meeting, we kept talking about, it was the expected rate was 25 basis points, and there was like a 99% chance it was going to be 25 basis points. Everybody knew that. They've been talking about it for weeks and weeks. That was going to happen. We all knew that. But what we did not know is whether it was going to be a bullish 25 rate point hike or a bearish 25 rate point hike, 25 basis rate point hike. And what I mean by that is the language around the hike itself. Was Powell going to say, this is it, we're done, we're not raising rates anymore, yay, and we rally, or was Powell going to say, we are going to have to keep raising rates, indefinitely until we can achieve our goal and all that kind of stuff? And that's really kind of what he said. He said, quote unquote, we remain committed to bringing inflation back to our 2% goal. Let's see, what else? What else? He stressed repeatedly the Fed would remain vigilant and keep its options open. Basically, they're going to continue to hike rates. I was looking for another quote, but I couldn't find it. That they are open to more rate hikes, etc., blah, blah, blah. Now, they have basically hit their target rate of 5.25%, 5.5%. That's a 22-year high. It's the highest since 2001. But inflation remains stubborn, all that kind of stuff, right? So what we will have now is the next CPI, very important, next PPI, very important. That's going to be, I believe, around August the 10th, 11th, I believe is when that's going to be, or 9th and 10th, when those come out. And, of course, we'll be watching for inflation. The Fed will be watching, and the market will be sitting on pins and needles waiting to see what happens, just like all of us will as well. So, again, as the market, let me zoom in here. This is what's crazy about trying to trade these kind of days. It's really hard to know which side to get on, to get in on this. So you're bullish here, and then seconds later Powell says something and we free fall all the way back down, much lower than we were all day, and you think this is it, downward spiral, we're going to go crash, and then we turn around and rip up just as fast and almost get back up here, and then we fall. So very, very tough to try to trade these kind of days. And it's really kind of hard to position going into a day like this because you don't know whether to be bullish or bearish. And luckily, the type trading that I do typically is a delta neutral kind of strategy. So, I can tolerate movement up or down. It really doesn't make that much difference. But let's look. Let's see where we are in the markets. So here's the ES, and I'm just going to put this on. I like to use grab candles here. And if you see this is the ES again. These are 34 EMAs. you could use smaller time frames like 821, 34. You could use a 50 or 100 or whatever, depending on your time frames. I like to use the 34s, but as you can see, for a good while now, we've been, kind of stretched above all these moving averages in just a beautiful bullish pattern here. But as we know, when these bullish patterns, they do turn at some point, right? And I don't know if we're going to get a turn or not. If we do, how deep is it going to go? And I don't know. And I don't see any reason, honestly, I don't see any reason for a giant sell-off. Everything looks pretty good, right? I don't see this happening, but we could really easily come back here to the 34 EMA. We could come back to the 21 or the 50, but that would be normal. We need the market to pull back. It's healthy for the market to pull back in order for it to keep going up, just like all these other, you pull back to go up, pull back to go up, pull back to go up, etc. It's always the way it's been. Even here, straight up, pull back, catch your breath, run back up, pull back, run back up, pull back, to continue higher, that kind of thing. So, that's just the way it works. Reversion to the mean, right? So, and it's the same way with all the indexes. The NASDAQ actually had a little bit more of a pullback here already. You see this right here? We've already pulled back a good bit. Now that, in my opinion, I've heard arguments on both sides. Or not arguments, conversations on both sides, that the NASDAQ rebalancing, they pulled the weighting of the Magnificent Seven, which is Amazon, Apple, Google, Tesla, Microsoft, Meta, I'm missing one, Netflix, maybe. Anyway, they pulled the weighting of those down, and when you take the fastest horses out of the race, everything slows down, and you weight the slower horses, because they're trying to rebalance the weighting on it. That had a lot to do with that. We were pretty extended again. When you get to these points, you just pull back, right? And we were there. We were overdue for pullback. Now we're in a better spot here. We're going through earnings right now. We've already had Google, Microsoft yesterday, Netflix, Tesla. Next week we've got Amazon, Apple. So this thing could pull back here, catch its breath, keep going. Oh, and Nvidia. I forgot about Nvidia. But anyway, we'll keep an eye on this. I would be more. I'm getting honestly a little more interested in buying some of these dips than trying to short this market. And if we look at, let's see, Microsoft. I mean, beautiful chart. We're coming back down. That's a 34 EMA right there. I would definitely be more interested in buying Microsoft here than shorting it. Think it's going to go here. I don't think that's going to happen right now. It trades on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ could roll over and take all these down with it, but I don't think that's more likely. I think it's more likely we get a little kind of reasonable pullback here and we keep going. One other thing I wanted to mention here, if you have not seen it, check out the Dow. So the Dow, you'll probably read about this tomorrow. It said that, the headlines are this winning streak from I think here. It's up 13 days in a row. Up in the Dow. This is the Dow, and that's the longest winning streak in 25 years. So that's pretty cool, right? I mean, you can't beat that. And so we're up 13 days. It's a 22-year high. It's the longest winning streak since 1987. It says here, if we get one more day, I'd have to go back and look at this. If we get one more day, if we get 14 days, apparently it's going to be the longest winning streak in 125 years. Doesn't sound right to me, but that's what I'm just reading the headlines here. Anyway, pretty interesting. The point is, we are getting the Dow, the S&P, the RUT. Check out the RUT here. RTY. Look at that. I mean, we're getting pretty frothy there. NASDAQ has pulled back. All these other ones have not. NASDAQ typically leads. Does that mean the other ones pull back? Yeah, I got to think they probably do. But again, we've got a lot of big earnings coming out next week and all that stuff. So be careful putting too much on either side of this thing. If you've got a lot of profit and a lot of wins in some of these areas, I would take some wins off the table. I wouldn't try to get too bullish here on anything just yet until we have a little bit more of a pullback. But overall, everything still looks pretty good. So we got a little more clarity here from the Fed. We'll have a little more tomorrow. We see what kind of follow through we get. And then, of course, we'll be looking for next week's earnings and then CPI and PPI coming up after that. And that's what we'll be focusing on over the next couple of weeks. So keep those dates on your calendar for upcoming events and earnings around next week, and we'll see what we get. So hope that's helpful a little bit, gives you a little more clarity in the market. We'll see what we get tomorrow and then into next week. So join me here next week. We'll be doing it again with an update next Wednesday from me. And with that, let me sign off. You guys have a great rest of the day, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Take care.
Without simpler trading, I could not have financial independence.
This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency.
It's one of the things that won me